This hour by Frederick Remington, fully cooked, ready-to-eat bacon. Exclusive, no refrigeration, 10-year extended shelf life bacon. The thickest, meatiest, center-cut bacon in the industry at fullycookedbacon.com.
The stocks discussed on Wall Street Raw are not in any way a recommendation or solicitation to buy, sell, or hold. If considering acting on information, we first recommend you seek out a competent, licensed professional for advice.
What kingdom has sent you?
The kingdom of the Most High.
Nothing you have ever experienced can prepare you for the unbridled carnage you're about to witness. The Super Bowl, the World Series, they don't know what pressure is. In this building, it's either kill or be killed. You make no friends in the pits and you take no prisoners. 1 minute you're up $500,000 in soybeans, and the next, boom, your kids don't go to college and they've repossessed your Bentley. Are you with me?
The Genesis Communication Network is proud to bring you Wall Street Raw with nationally recognized market timer and previous Wall Street Week elf, Mark Leibovitz, welcoming you on board his financial time machine. And here is the elf himself, Mark Leibovitz.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining us here on Wall Street Raw on this Saturday morning, March 3rd. And as always, we try to line up a very interesting group of guests here for you, talking about the various markets, whether they be the futures, commodity markets, or the stock market. In fact, we even address Bitcoin on occasion, as you all know. Exciting week in the last few days. As you know, volatility has come back into the market. We are entering March. A lot of us talk about March 15th, the Ides of March being a critical time frame. We have the spring equinox coming up on the 20th. The expression March comes in like a lion and leaves out like a lamb. We'll find out if that works out. And we did have for those of you who follow some of the cycle stuff, we had a full moon this past couple days, coincident possibly with a little trading peak in the markets. So a lot of interesting stuff going on here. My guests today, and two are already on the line here for us. So we have Eric HADIK joining us from Inside Track, and Henry Weingarten from the Astrologers Fund coming up later in the show. Colin CIESZYNSKI, a technical analyst out of Toronto, will be joining us. Harry Boxer from the TechTrader.com. And my good friend Sinclair from KFNN 1510 Phoenix. First of all, I want to welcome Eric HADIK to the show this morning. Eric, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Mark. Thanks for having me back.
Okay, always a pleasure. Eric publishes Inside Track, and if you're interested in more information on that, I want to say that right up front. You go to is it InsideTrack.com,
yes.
Eric?
Yes,
so
Inside Track with the extra I in the middle.
Yeah, INSIIDE, track.com for more information on this newsletter. Eric, I'm going to let you take the stage here. Let's talk about stocks. Have we bottomed, in your opinion, or we're going to run through more indigestion here in the months ahead? I guess the big question, have we entered a bear market when it was least expected?
I think that we are definitely in a consolidation phase here, that we saw the initial sell-off, and I use a kind of a very revealing indicator to tell me whether the 2 to 3 month trend has turned or not. The weekly trend indicator, which as of yet has not reversed down. Mm-hmm. So that leaves open the potential for some consolidation and even a retest of the highs. But the coming week is really kind of critical for me. That the first full week of March is very decisive in a lot of the markets I'm watching and a lot of cycles that I'm monitoring.
Okay. And for the gold bugs out there, I know you track the gold market. It doesn't seem to want to get out of its own way, and the dollar seems to want to rally. So we have a little bit of a problem there for gold, yes or no?
Well, I think gold has been developing a base for 2+ years, and it's been a very constructive formation, too. So it's very typical of a trend. You see these pretty convincing rallies, and then a pullback that certainly retraces a lot of that initial rally, but not enough to turn the trend back down. Then you get another rally and a slightly less intense sell-off, and then another rally, and again an even less intense sell-off. So it's kind of this 1-2-1-2 pattern if you're an Elliott Wave aficionado, where you're just getting a progression of rallies and declines, but they're building an uptrend. And I think that gold, I've been saying that after this early March time frame was when a lot more cycles and some of these trend indicators that I'm watching that are already rolling over to the upside are likely to take more center stage and start to guide gold higher over the coming months.
Yeah, you're waiting for silver, too. That's been a little bit of a laggard for you, correct?
Yeah, and I think that silver has been in a weaker formation all along, but the thing that I think will start to play in silver's favor is as inflationary fears start to become a little more pronounced, and starting to read a little bit more about it now. For 2 or 3 years now, I've been saying that we should see slowly, steadily developing inflation and then accelerating in 2018, 2019. Just had a subscriber forward me an article from Paul Tudor Jones saying that he believes now that 2018, 2019 is going to be inflation, and I think that that's when silver starts to outperform gold.
Eric, I want to thank you. I know we only had a couple minutes here. We have a bunch of guests on the line, but you're very kind at squeezing us in. Eric HADIK from Inside Track. Again, that's INSIIDE track.com. And have a great weekend, Eric. And we look forward to talking to you real soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark.
Joining us is our good friend Henry Weingarten from the Astrologers Fund, afund.com, if you want more information there. Good morning, Henry. Thank you for being patient.
Good morning, and actually I agree with just about everything your previous guest said. I would like to say a couple of additional things. First of all, we don't see 4 interest rates this year, but 3. But the number 7 one will be, I think, a defining for the market, but we see that in winter 2019. Number 2, on Friday, we recommended buying the market, short-term trades at 24,300, and then shorting the 10-year bond at 280 and shorting Bitcoin at 11,000. However, we do see late April for both season and astrological reasons as a downtime in the market. So we're playing a little bit of a rebound here, and later we'll be protecting and selling.
So are we still cyclically negative here into the spring with the highs of March and all that stuff, or no?
I can't answer that question. I mean, we protected ourselves when we got to 25,000, 26,000, and 7,500 on the. So I don't really care because we have a lot of mostly protected. We're sort of a trading range. But at this point, I think it's more likely to go up because I think the trade war things may be a little bit overblown. However, if this were later in the year, I would have a very different view.
Yeah, everybody jumped on board the bear camp when Trump announced the trade, embargoes or taxes, right? And it's actually good for the economy. And I know you're a big supporter of Trump, and you feel still that he's still in good shape with his presidency and economic policies.
Correct. Although we do have the inflation concerns that your previous guest mentioned. Clearly, the government is beginning to recognize inflation. We've always had it, but now it's being recognized.
Okay. And let's talk about the Bitcoin. You said you shorted
Bitcoin,
it here?
I mean, Bitcoin has one more rally in April, but it had a 10,000, 11,000 dual pivot, and 11,000 just seemed a good place to hit it. But when we hit the summer, we think it will be below 5,000.
Oh, okay.
So you've got one rally to sell aggressively in April. So even this short is a short-term short. When it goes up again to whatever number it goes to, and then we hit it very hard.
We have about 15 seconds, Henry. What about the dollar? Is it going to begin a rally, or is it still in a downtrend?
I think the rally generally, the dollar's negative things on the dollar very strange compared to the euro, compared to the pound, compared to the yen. So to me, it's a relatively strong currency. I stress the word relatively.
Okay. Henry Weingarten from the Astrologers Fund. If you want more information, I want you to go to afund.com. And it's always a pleasure having Henry on the show. Henry, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Will do. You got it.
Don't touch your dial, folks. We have Colin CIESZYNSKI joining us, a new guest, Sinclair No, and Harry Boxer.
You're listening to Wall Street Raw with Mark Leibovitz. Go to wallstreetrawradio.com for information on Mark's newsletters and products. Stay tuned. Mark will be right back.
Tired of being censored by Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Patreon? Well, now you don't have to be. OneWay.com is the free speech and human-friendly social network built just for you. Stop feeding the beast. Every post you make on those evil, anti-human, anti-American perverted sites helps them destroy our families, our country, and our souls. Join One Way today and take back your liberty. Your free speech alternative is waiting for you at OneWay.com. OneWay.com.
Message and data rates may apply.
Remembering when to change your fridge filter is a hassle. Remembering the right filter is almost impossible. So at Filters Fast, we have some good advice. Forget it. Instead, remember this. Text BEST 33 to 443-443 and check fridge filters off your to-do list forever. Get it all taken care of for a fraction of big box store prices with a Filters Fast brand filter. To see how much you can save, plus get free shipping, text BEST 33 to 443-443. With a huge range of brand name filters available, Filters Fast is America's #1 online filtration company. And you can get a Filters Fast brand filter for a fraction of the price, delivered to your door every time you need it. No need to remember. It's not a matter of if you need a fridge filter. Why not text to get it taken care of? To see how much you can save and get free shipping, text BEST 33 to 443-443. That's BEST 33 to 443-443.
Every industry faces distinguishing challenges and circumstances that shape the business and financial landscape. Camuso CPA LLC delivers unrivaled depth of knowledge and an engaging experience relevant to each client's industry-specific needs. Camuso offers preemptive guidance and knowledge required to achieve your greatest business and personal financial potential. Our approach is based on forging long-term business relationships accompanied by trust and value, creating an ever-important partnership. Build your dedicated financial team with us today. Visit CamusoCPA.com. That's CamusoCPA.com.
It's a no-brainer. A Big Berkey water filter is the one you need, period. You need a water filter that removes chlorine, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, BPA, and other endocrine disruptors, pesticides, bacteria, viruses, and much more, right? And does it all at only 2 cents per gallon. Get the original and most trusted name in gravity water filtration, Big Berkey. And now GCN listeners receive 5% off ceramic filter systems using code GCN. Call or click 1-877-99-BERKEY or BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY.
Does the current world crisis in North Korea or our domestic crisis right here in America concern you? Well, I know it concerns me. My friends over at Legacy Food Storage have solutions in the event there's the inevitable. What's the inevitable? Civil unrest, a run on your local grocery store. And here's my question to you. If this happens, how do you feed your children? How do you feed your grandchildren? Legacy Food Storage has the solutions. In fact, they can help you implement a simple plan to take care of your needs in the event of the inevitable. By calling them right now, I have authorized them to give you a special 20% discount at checkout by simply using GCN. Call 888-543-7345 or visit them at LegacyFoodStorage.com. That's 888-543-7345 or visiting them at LegacyFoodStorage.com. Make sure you use GCN at checkout for an incredible 20% discount. Don't be a victim. Take control of your life now.
Hear that? That's the sound of a house being trashed while a gang of thieves ransack the place. And what they don't steal will be destroyed.
This year, resolve not to be the next victim of a break-in. Go to faketv.com and discover a device that creates the illusion someone inside is watching TV, even when you're miles away. Security is a mindset, and Fake TV should be part of your security solution. Be vigilant, but not fearful. faketv.com.
Think positive. Never show any sign of weakness. Always go for the throat. Buy low, sell high. Fear, that's the other guy's problem.
Welcome back to the Wall Street Raw Radio Show with Mark Leibovitz, your time machine for the financial markets. Want to know more? Go to WallStreetRawRadio.com. Now, here's the elf himself, Mark Leibovitz.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw on this Saturday, March 3rd. Always a pleasure having you tune in. And, we're very excited adding, new radio stations to our list of followers. So we will talk about that a little bit later in the show. A new station in Tampa, Florida just joined us, and we're expanding our network here, and we really look forward to continuing to do that. We cover Phoenix and on the Genesis Communications Network in the U.S., which has about 600 affiliates, but not all of them have yet joined our show, but we're certainly looking forward to that. We have a new and very special guest here on segment 2 for you this Saturday morning. It's one of Canada's top technical analysts, Colin CIESZYNSKI. He was introduced to me by our good friend and regular guest, Don VIALOUX, who's on our program just about every week. And Colin officially launched his independent research service under the title The Fundamental Technician banner. And he's known on Bay Street, which, as you may or may not know, is in Toronto, and a frequent presenter on the U.S. and Canadian media and regional director in the Ontario area for the Canadian Society of Technical Analysts. I was very honored to be a guest speaker at that group a few years ago. So it's always fun going to Toronto. And Colin, thank you so much for taking a few moments on this Saturday morning.
Oh, thanks a lot for inviting me today. It's great to be here.
Okay, so you and Don go back a long way. Don is, a leader in this field with a cycle analysis. So you would say you're more focused on sector rotation. What is your specialty?
My focus currently is on sector rotation and relative strength. I spend quite a bit of time doing top-down analysis across commodities, currencies, and indices, and then work my way down into industry sectors as well as individual stocks. And I think it's important for us to recognize where we are in the cycle. It gives us some good ideas about which areas could outperform. For example, right now we're at the point where we're on the monetary side, where we're starting to move into what I call a mid-cycle, where we've come up off the bottom. The economy has been performing relatively well, and it's time for the central banks to lift their pedal up off the floor, to ease back on the stimulus, and basically start to reload for the next recession, which will come eventually, even though we don't really know when. So because of that, we're into a rising interest rate environment, and it's a time that perplexes a lot of investors, because you end up with the easy money liquidity that had powered the market up in recent years starts to go away, and that puts a limit on the upside for stocks. And then on the downside, however, you have a strong economy supporting stocks, so you end up in these areas where you can get some fairly large swings in both directions. But what's most important at this point is that this is a time when interest-sensitive areas tend to underperform. Stocks that do well in falling rate environments tend to do poorly in rising rate environments. So I'm looking right now at things like utilities and real estate. They've been dropping down to the bottom of the relative rankings, and it looks like they could stay there for a while.
Wow, okay. So let's talk a little bit about the move on Trump here this past week and steel tariffs. And supposedly that's the reason the stock market has come down. Now, from a technical point of view, we could argue that it was due for correction anyway.
Yes, the stock market had it had actually peaked earlier in the week at a lower high and was already starting to fall even when Donald Trump's comments came out. But what's most significant about this, and what I think has really shaken the confidence of a lot of traders, particularly people who have been around in the markets for a long time, is that if we look back to the 2000 to 2002 bear market, the market really went down in 3 phases. The first stage was the technology crash. The second phase was a big drop after 9/11, and the third phase kicked off in the spring of 2002, and it was driven when President Bush introduced the steel tariff. And what do we have today? We have President Trump introducing a steel tariff, and I think this has rattled confidence in a lot of investors, because there are very few things that the markets really, really hate, and trade wars is one of them. The markets really want to see free trade to really allow the world economy to grow and for companies to be able to have a positive business environment. When you start getting into trade disputes and governments throwing up trade blocks and the potential for retaliation against a number of sectors, all of a sudden the investors have to go and reevaluate their earnings expectations for a number of groups, and that's why I think we're starting to see the market get hit as hard as we have in the latter part of this week.
In your commentary, you talk about auto stocks sold off and the connection to General Motors. Bring us up to speed there.
Yes, we saw some weakness in the auto sectors later in the week, and General Motors has been particularly under pressure, falling below the $40 level and continuing to trend downward. On Thursday at the beginning of the month, we had GM and Ford both reported that their monthly sales for February were down about 6.7%. Then on top of that, we had Donald Trump and the trade dispute get layered in on top of that. Of course, steel is a large component of autos, and even if a lot of the steel is sourced in the U.S., there's a lot of discussions with NAFTA going on right now about sourcing and what comes from what country, and because the number of parts of cars cross the border several times over the process of building a car as it's built up through various modules and shipped all over North America, and now you're throwing this steel tariff into the mix, and at a time when auto sales are starting to slow, and that looks like it could be quite a mess for the industry in the coming months.
And then you sent me some notes ahead of the show, and I appreciate that. You said, recall the last leg down in 2002 bear market started in the spring of 2002 when Bush 2 launched the big steel tariff. So you see a comparison here.
I do, and it really concerns me because it's one thing to go around for politicians to go around with rhetoric, and they talk a lot of various things, and then it's a matter of how much do they actually do. And to this point, the market has kind of taken Donald Trump as in, we like a lot of the things he's doing, and they bid the stock market up on that. And there's a few things that he talks about that maybe we don't like, but it's all bluster or it'll never get passed. But this is the first time you could see something that has the potential to be a real negative for the economy, particularly if big trade partners like China or Canada or Europe decide to start retaliating against U.S. goods. The U.S. actually has a trade surplus in steel with Canada at the moment, for example, and even though they've gone and slapped a duty on Canadian steel along with everybody else's. So there's a real concern that this could somehow turn around and bite American companies on the way coming back. So for the first time, Trump isn't quite as friendly to the economy as he has seemed to be to date, and that could have a significant impact on market sentiment as we move forward.
Colin, I want to thank you for joining us. We have 5 seconds. How do our listeners reach you?
I can be reached at I'm sorry. I've just started a new position, so I should.
We'll catch you on the next interview, and we'll identify that. Colin CIESZYNSKI from the Canadian Society of Technical Analysts. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you. You know what? That's where people can reach me. It's Colin at CSTA.org. I'm Vice President of the Canadian Society of Technical Analysts.
Stay tuned. Mark will be right back.
High-performance investors and traders use superior financial tools to achieve superior returns. You have that tool with Mark Leibovit, nationally renowned top market timer, legendary television Wall Street Week elf, and nightly business report market monitor, who shares with you his unique market tools and commentary at wallstreetraw.com. Here, Mark provides you with his latest ideas on how to help build and protect your wealth and help you avoid the next big market tsunami. Mark has a special free gift for listeners of his Wall Street Raw radio show. Go to wallstreetraw.com and sign up for his free monthly Cannabis Vice News Raw report. While there, go ahead and sign up for his free monthly Gold News Raw report. Both are totally free. No credit card information is required, and no one will call. Sign up today for your free Cannabis Vice News Raw report and Gold News Raw report at wallstreetraw.com.
With uncertain times in the United States, it's only prudent to consider storing precious metals in a safe place outside of our borders. At Miles Franklin Limited, we have done just that for you. Partnered with the most respected storage company in the industry, Miles Franklin Limited is proud to offer the only fully insured private safe deposit box system in North America, held in Vancouver and Toronto. Send us your previously purchased precious metals, or have one of our brokers help you purchase something new. Questions? Please call one of our experienced brokers at 866-485-4346 Solid foundational storage partnered with the most respected name in security. That's Miles Franklin Limited. Celebrating our 29th year in business without ever receiving a customer complaint. Call us at 866-485-4346. Again, that's 866-485-4346. Miles Franklin Limited, a name you can trust.
Here's a special message for those of you who owe the IRS at least $10,000 or more in back taxes. The IRS has special programs in place that could eliminate or reduce your tax debt by thousands of dollars. Call the Federal Tax Management Helpline that has been set up for you, 800-503-8625. Stop the wage garnishments, levies, and tax liens now. Once you've qualified and enrolled, the IRS will stop all the collection activities against you. These unique programs have been allocated to help the economy and significantly reduce or eliminate your tax burden. The IRS is currently accepting reduced settlements and other favorable programs. You may qualify for substantial savings, so get the help you need. If you owe more than $10,000 in taxes, call for free information and to see if you qualify. Take down the number now for the Federal Tax Management Hotline, 800-503-8625. That's 800-503-8625. 800-503-8625.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the Internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw. Want to know more about Wall Street Raw and the Leibovit VR newsletters? Go to wallstreetrawradio.com.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw, Saturday, March 3rd, and we've had a real exciting show for you today, and hopefully the action is still underway here as we still have a few guests that are waiting in the wings, and our good friend Don VIALOUX was kind enough to join us again this morning. Don is the past president of the Canadian Society of Technical Analysts, and he's also the author, creator, blogger of two important websites. One is timingthemarket.ca, and the other is equityclock.com, which I follow religiously. Good morning, Don. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me back, Mark.
Wow, a lot going on this week with the tariffs, and from what I read, Canada will be the most impacted by the steel tariff. Is that true?
Yeah, it's a strange one. Canada is affected in a number of ways. There's, first of all, on the aluminum side, the largest provider of aluminum for the U.S. market outside of the United States is the former Alcan, which is owned by Rio Tinto. Mm-hmm. Needless to say, Rio Tinto got hammered pretty badly on this particular announcement because it implies that there would be less aluminum produced in Canada heading to the United States. On the steel side, it's unfortunate that Trump has put steel tariffs on all countries. The reason is quite simple. In Canada, Canada is actually a net purchaser of U.S. steel. So by approximately $2 billion value. So we have Canadian steel producers who are selling steel to the United States. Clearly those stocks got hit on the announcement. But in this case, what's actually happening if the tariffs are imposed on Canadian steel production? Probably Canada is going to impose a similar type of a tariff on U.S. steel production. And the net impact is a negative for the U.S. steel producers. So the Americans will be shooting themselves in the foot if they actually impose this particular tariff against Canadian steel. It's yet to be seen, of course. We don't know for sure what the Canadian government is going to do. But clearly this also muddies the water on the current NAFTA negotiations. All of a sudden the Americans are imposing tariffs that were not expected. And also that has raised concerns about how serious the Americans are on NAFTA negotiations.
It's really interesting now. I mean, only a few seconds, but for the last 10 or 12 days, U.S. steel has been rallying, and many of the U.S. stocks in the steel sector have been rallying. So I guess the word got out. It's really interesting, right? I'm sure
That's right. The symbol for that, by the way, there's an ETF, and that symbol is SLX. So you can see how people are responding to this announcement just by watching that particular ETF.
Right. Well, thank you, Don, for that opinion. We really needed that input, and that Canadian impact is really an important story. So thank you, and we'll talk to you next week. Don VIALOUX from EquityClock.com and TimingTheMarket.ca. And have a great weekend, Don.
Thank you, Mark.
Joining us is our old, good, reliable friend from the incomparable blog EatTheBankers.com and financial commentator for, it's got to be, 20 years, Sinclair at KFNN 1510 Phoenix. Good morning.
More than 20 years. Good morning, Mark.
Okay, I don't want to age you.
You're not the one that aged me.
Maybe I should. It was Wells Fargo.
Oh man! You had to go right to the knife to begin with, didn't you?
Well, so some of the recordings we've made on that subject are just laughable in terms of the comedy and the fact this bank is still in business. But thank you for joining us. Meanwhile, let's talk about Bank of America here this morning real quickly. They acknowledged the threat of cryptocurrency this week. But if I recall correctly, we discussed this a week or two back, that they were the largest applicant for the blockchain technology.
Yeah.
So they say it's a threat, but they're out there greedily going after as many cryptos as they can.
They see the cryptocurrency as a competitor. They see the blockchain technology as potential innovation that they can dip into and take advantage of. And that's been the idea for quite some time. I remember I talked with some folks about this probably 3 years ago, and they were saying the technology's good. We don't know about the cryptocurrency. We don't know about the bitcoins and the other stuff, but the technology has some real promise. And we talked about it and said, well, the banks are going to take it over, right? And the idea was, yeah, they're going to try and take it over. The technology, not the cryptocurrency. And so that's what I think is going to happen. They're looking at a competitor, and they'd like to squash the competition.
So let's talk about Jerome Powell and the stock market this past week. Everybody, not everybody, but the thought is the market sold off because of the supposed trade war that Trump has instituted, particularly with regard to steel imports. But you and I know the market topped out before this, so maybe other reasons and maybe technical reasons why the market's correcting other than the tariffs, maybe, unless that was known well ahead of time. And Powell, of course, seems to be committed to 4 increases in the Fed funds rate, and that's making the market supposedly nervous, seemingly because that's too aggressive. So where do we stand on that story?
Well, I don't know that Powell is committed to 4 rate increases. I think he's committed to 3. That's pretty clear. And now he's thinking, maybe it's 4. Which would be a change, which would be an additional rate hike. What he continues to say is gradual. It's going to be gradual, as if that really makes it all the better, And so instead of getting a succession of quick rate hikes and then sitting back and seeing what happens. They'll just do it over the course of the year. I think they very well might do 4. He hinted at the possibility. He's throwing it out, trial balloon, if you will, right now, just to see how the markets respond. Markets didn't particularly like it. And you're right. The market was in a position where I think it was ready to roll over again. I didn't trust that V recovery that we had going on coming out of February 8th and 9th, where it just popped right back up. And then it got to the 50% retracement mark, and then it leveled out for a couple of days and then looked like it was going to keep climbing. I didn't really trust that. Usually you have that big of a drop, you retest it at some point to some degree. If you break down below it, it's bearish. But typically it is a retest, and a W pattern or a double bottom pattern is a much more familiar pattern than just a V pattern. So, that being said, you also had, as you were just talking about, Mark, possibility that some of this tariff information may have leaked out a little bit early, and the markets were starting to respond a little bit to that. So you have the combination of Powell, you have the combination of tariffs, you have the combination of a market that was probably ready and due for a retest of the early February lows.
Sinclair, can you stay with us for another segment? We got running into a break. Okay, Sinclair Noah from KFN in 1510 Phoenix and author of the blog EatTheBankers.com. Don't touch your dial. We'll be back right after the break.
Are listening to Wall Street Raw with Mark Leibovitz. Go to wallstreetrawradio.com for information on Mark's newsletters and products. Stay tuned. Mark will be right back.
High-performance investors and traders use superior financial tools to achieve superior returns. You have that tool with Mark Leibovitz, nationally renowned top market timer, legendary television Wall Street Week elf, and nightly business report market monitor, who shares with you his unique market tools and commentary at wallstreetraw.com. At wallstreetraw.com, Mark provides you with his latest ideas on how to help build and protect your wealth and help you avoid the next big market crash. Mark has a special free gift for listeners of his Wall Street Raw radio show. Go to wallstreetraw.com and sign up for his free monthly Cannabis Vice News Raw report. While there, go ahead and sign up for his free monthly Gold News Raw report. Both are totally free. No credit card information is required. Sign up today for your free Cannabis Vice News Raw and Gold News Raw reports at wallstreetraw.com. That's wallstreetraw.com.
Every industry faces distinguishing challenges and circumstances that shape the business and financial landscape. Camuso CPA LLC delivers unrivaled depth of knowledge and an engaging experience relevant to each client's industry-specific needs. Camuso offers preemptive guidance and knowledge required to achieve your greatest business and personal financial potential. Our approach is based on forging long-term business relationships accompanied by trust and value, creating an ever-important partnership. Build your dedicated financial team with us today. Visit CamusoCPA.com. That's CamusoCPA.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of a house being trashed while a gang of thieves ransack the place. And what they don't steal will be destroyed.
This year, resolve not to be the next victim of a break-in. Go to faketv.com and discover a device that creates the illusion someone inside is watching TV, even when you're miles away. Security is a mindset, and Fake TV should be part of your security solution. Be vigilant, but not fearful. faketv.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, and like all of you out there, I had problems sleeping. Pillows would go flat, I would flip-flop all night long, I would wake up with a sore neck, maybe a headache, or feel like I needed a nap even though I slept 8 hours. When I invented MyPillow, I wanted it to where you could move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of sleep position. MyPillow will get you into that deep REM sleep faster, and you will stay there longer. It's not about how much time we spend in bed, it's about how much of that quality sleep we get. I do all of my own manufacturing right here in the United States. I have a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry my pillow, and I give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. And here's my best offer ever. You can buy one of my pillows and get one absolutely free.
Go to mypillow.com or call 800-870-0305 and use promo code GCN. That's mypillow.com or 800-870-0305 with promo code GCN.
Fully cooked, ready-to-eat bacon. I'm talking thick, meaty, center-cut presidential bacon. Savory and delicious. I buy some, I use some, I store some. Awesome. No refrigeration needed with a 10-year shelf life. NASA pack technology. Bacon. Fully cooked, fully hydrated, ready to eat right from the packed bacon. Or warm and served. Life-saving, ready-to-eat bacon. 10-year shelf life bacon. Ships free at fullycookedbacon.com. Fullycookedbacon.com.
Responsibility begins and ends with our partners and our shareholders, and that's it.
There is no freedom without the law.
Get it? Got it? Good.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw and the final segment with Mark Leibovitz. Now, here's the elf himself.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw. It's Saturday, March 3rd. It's always a pleasure having you on our program and taking the time to tune in. You have a lot of choices on a Saturday morning, and hopefully Wall Street Raw will stay on top of your list. On the phone with us is still our very good friend and regular guest, Sinclair No from KFNN 1510 Phoenix, and author of the incomparable blog, EatTheBankers.com. So let's, good morning again, Sinclair. Thank you for, again, being patient with us here and staying on the line, and let's jump into our Banks Behaving Badly segment.
Banks behaving badly. Yeah,
so
we're still working on the sound effects there.
No, we need to get a little musical interlude or something in there. Absolutely, we'll talk to the network about that one. Meanwhile, Wells Fargo, our good friends over there,
they can't help themselves.
They're experiencing some more regulatory struggles this week. Is that any great surprise?
No, it isn't. Not at all. First of all, Jerome Powell, the new Fed chair, said that he will keep sanctions in place for a significant period of time. He's not going to let Wells Fargo off the hook so easy.
When you think about this, it's an incredible story. I mean, in my lifetime, I haven't heard about the Federal Reserve coming down on a bank, particularly a bank of this notoriety, in this way. Am I wrong?
Yeah, this is the only one that I'm familiar with. I mean, at least in recent history.
Right.
They basically told Wells Fargo, you cannot get any bigger until you get your house in order. That was the basic situation here. You can't expand, you can't grow, you can't get any bigger, you can't add more reserves until you get everything in order and clean up your mess. And it turns out that there were some regulatory filings that took place this week that revealed that Wells Fargo is still a big, hot mess. They had some queries from government agencies into their foreign exchange business. They're conducting a separate review on incorrect fees charged to customers' fiduciary and custody accounts. They are in the preliminary stages, taking a look at non-publicly traded assets They're facing at least 3 major probes, including one from the Department of Justice. And a former Wells Fargo financial crimes investigator said in a complaint filed Wednesday, I believe it was, that the bank improperly follows up on allegations of fraud in customer accounts. So that's a separate allegation saying they don't follow up on allegations of fraud. They don't look at the problems. So
I got a couple of checking accounts over there. Maybe I need to move them.
You need to keep an eye on them. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
Because apparently Wells Fargo just takes advantage of their customers, unlike some other banks, and other banks don't have a great reputation for being kind to their customers. But, you know, we talk about Wells Fargo, and perhaps it's unfair, particularly when we consider Equifax is still in business. And we thought that the 145 million people whose identities were stolen last year in the big Equifax hack, we thought that was a bad thing. And if you were not one of the 145 million people whose identities were stolen, you're thinking, whew, I dodged a bullet there. Yeah, and not so fast. Right. An additional 2.4 million consumers were affected by the hack. So it's been, about a year now? And all of a sudden they're saying, oh, yeah, and there were another 2.4 million. Now, just a reminder, Equifax is the company that's supposed to take the financial information and make sure that we are secure and safe with that financial information. That's at least part of what they're supposed to be doing, right?
Right.
Yeah, 2.4 million. Another year goes on. They didn't realize it, but oops.
Well, I froze my credit.
The level of incompetency from Equifax is astounding. And that they would not reveal that they didn't understand that it had taken place. It is literally mind-boggling, and I wonder sometimes why we have these credit reporting agencies on such lax regulation with our personal information. This is not something that they built. This is our information. They should have a much higher fiduciary duty to their customers.
Right. To my knowledge, there really isn't any regulation on their end.
Little to none.
Yes, that's right, unfortunately. Well, Sinclair, it's unbelievable stories. Listen, thank you so much for joining us. I hate to cut you short, but we have our good friend Harry Boxer on the line, and we promise that we don't have him. We do have him. We don't. I'm sorry. No, we don't have Harry on the line, so let's keep talking. I apologize. My producer was telling me we had Harry on the line, so apparently he's unreachable this week. So let's talk about Warren Buffett. He released a letter to Berkshire Hathaway that was really interesting.
Well, Warren Buffett does his annual investors letter. This year, the letter was a little bit shorter than normal, ran about 17 pages, didn't cover a whole heck of a lot of stuff, but, it was the typical pearls of wisdom from Warren Buffett, and I guess when you have amassed a fortune like Warren, you've got a few pearls of wisdom, and he shared those in his letter. I don't know that he really said anything that new or that different. He still remains fairly bullish about the economy, about the marketplace. And he says most people shouldn't be doing what he's trying to do in the market. He's a stock picker. He says, don't even try it. Just stick with an index fund for most people. And for most people, probably that's good advice. But generally speaking, he likes Apple. We learned that. And Apple took off earlier in the week. It wasn't enough to, carry over for the broader market as far as the tariffs and, the Federal Reserve testimony from Powell and just the general market rolling over. But he had a winner with Apple. he's done very well with Apple. And I imagine that he's probably doing very well now with the railroads. They're backed up as far as delivering freight these days.
Right, he stepped in there when we thought, why the heck is he doing this, right? And he has that insight just is mind-boggling. And of course, he stepped to the plate back in 2007 and 8 and 9 when we all thought the cream puff hit the fan and it was all over. So
and now he's delivering oil on the rails. And you know, back in November, the U.S. became the number 2 oil producer, moved ahead of Saudi Arabia, at least for a month or so, switching places between second and third with Saudi Arabia now. And then I talked with some folks at the ISM about their manufacturing report, and they were saying there's a bit of a backlog going on right now. They just can't get enough material to manufacturers in time. That seems to be a good sign for transportation companies like the railroads.
Well, you know, if you're on the road, I'm on the road quite a bit. There's more trucks than cars on the road, and we hear there's a shortage of truckers to drive these trucks. So we know the economy really has turned, and maybe the correction we're seeing here in the stock market, Sinclair, is nothing more than just that, a little bit of indigestion, and we're going to find ourselves back into new highs. So we'll
I tell you what, if we get that double bottom pattern, the W instead of what was looking like a V, if we get a W and a double bottom there, that is one of the most bullish signs that you can find in the marketplace.
Sinclair, thank you for joining us. Sinclair No, KFNN 1510 Phoenix, and author of the great blog, EatTheBankers.com. Talk to you next week, Sinclair.
Thank you, Mark.
And as we always do each week, and as Ed Hart used to say on the old Financial News Network, we close our show as he did with the expression, we will know in the fullness of time.
Thank you for listening to Wall Street Raw with nationally recognized market timer and previous Wall Street Week Elf, Mark Leibovitz. If you missed any of today's show or to get in touch with Mark, please go to WallStreetRawRadio.com. Any stocks or investment discussed on Wall Street Raw are not in any way a recommendation or solicitation to buy, sell, or hold. We first recommend you seek out a licensed financial professional for advice. Go to WallStreetRawRadio.com for more information on Mark's newsletters and products.
High-performance investors and traders use superior financial tools to achieve superior returns. You have that tool with Mark Leibovitz, nationally renowned top market timer, legendary television Wall Street Week Elf, and nightly business report market monitor, who shares with you his unique market tools and commentary at WallStreetRaw.com. Here, Mark provides you with his latest ideas on how to help build and protect your wealth and help you avoid the next big market tsunami. Mark has a special free gift for listeners of his Wall Street Raw radio show. Go to WallStreetRaw.com and sign up for his free monthly Cannabis Vice News Raw report. While there, go ahead and sign up for his free monthly Gold News Raw report. Both are totally free. No credit card information is required, and no one will call. Sign up today for your free Cannabis Vice News Raw report and Gold News Raw report at WallStreetRaw.com.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest price filtration systems in every size for incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency. Get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com.
Anytime, any place, anywhere. Radio remains the most intimate of all forms of media. At home, at work, in the car, on smartphones. Over 90% of consumers still listen to radio every week. That makes choosing radio as a place to advertise your business one of the best decisions you can make. Email advertise@gcnlive.com and partner up with an experienced GCN representative. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.